Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, sisters. Alhamdulillah, everybody got the answers finally. Alhamdulillah. All right, so we're going to continue still on chapter 49. So this is the third session on chapter 49. And so it's still dealing with sabr. The Prophet ﷺ said, nothing better and more inclusive is given to anyone than sabr, right? The sabr is like the gift, right? If somebody has sabr, that's a huge blessing. A wise man had written in a letter addressed to an afflicted friend, if you have suffered a heavy loss, do not let another thing be missed by you, and that is the reward of showing endurance. And this is what we were talking about, sisters. It's like, okay, this trial is happening. You just lost someone. It's already difficult. Don't miss all your reward. Now, in that difficulty, seek your reward. And the reward you can seek in that difficulty is to have sabr. So that's what the friend is telling his friend. It's like, okay, you already lost somebody. You suffered a loss. So now don't let the reward of having sabr miss you as well. You know, don't lose that reward as well, because you already lost someone, but don't also lose the reward. Don't lose the person and the reward. Do you understand? So you can do, there's nothing we can do when we lose someone, but there's something we can do about not losing the reward, right? We can actually do our best so that we don't lose the reward in that difficult moment. Now that's very important. If we understand that, sister, subhanAllah, a lot of trials, we're going to know how to pass our trials. It's like the trial itself, there's nothing you can do about it, right? It happened to you. It's a circumstance. It's something that has happened. That's part of your qadr. But what you can do about it is how you're going to respond to that qadr. How you're going to take your qadr. How you're going to show sabr. That's how you can win in that difficulty. But if you lose, you know, you already have that difficulty, and in addition to that, you lose all the rewards you could get out of that, that's where the calamity is. Another wise man said, on the first day of the trial, on the first day of affliction, the wise man does what the ignorance will do after 5 days. So what the ignorance will do, they will not have sabr. They will scream, they will cry, they will do this, they will do that. For 5 days, when they get tired now, that's when they're going to calm down and have sabr. So the wise person, he's going to do that the first day. Because you understand, it's like you're going to get tired for 5 days to go back to what? Being patient about it, because you don't have any other choice. So for you to not lose your reward, start by being patient on the first day. It's not easy, but that's what we want to strive to do, inshallah. So, so no doubt the pain of loss fades as time passes. And that is why the Prophet ﷺ commended patience at the time of the first shock. Remember the hadith with this woman that was grieving her son. Imam Shafi, rahimahullah, heard about the death of the son of Abdurrahman bin Mahdi, and that Abdurrahman was very sad for that. Shafi'i wrote to him saying, my brother, console yourself with the same consolation you bid to others, and hate of yourself doing what you hate others for doing, and learn that the worst misfortune is to lose pleasure and to be bereaved from a reward. How then are they to be if combined with making a sin? And he added the following 2 lines of verse. I console you, though I am not sure of life, but it is a practice of faith. Neither the consoler nor the consoled will subsist after the death of a friend, even if they live for a while. So at the end of the day, we're all going, basically, you know. So somebody's dying, somebody you love died. That should just remind you that you're next. I mean, you may not be next right now, but you're gonna be next eventually, right? As I always say, death is an excellent teacher if we learn from it. It's an excellent teacher if we learn from it, right? And personally, death has been a great teacher of mine. So it's an excellent teacher if we learn from it. A man wrote to a brother Muslim at the loss of the latter's son. As long as the son is living, he is a cause of trial and concern for his parents. You know, as long as your children are living, you still worry. You worry, are they going to be good? Are they going to do their deen? Are they going to do this? Are they going to do... So it's just a constant cause of trial and concern for the parents. Now that the son has gone ahead of them, he is a cause of blessing and mercy for them. So do not grieve at the loss of trial and concern, and do not waste the opportunity for Allah's blessing and mercy. You know, everything in life is how you look at it. You know, that's the way that's what I'm learning. Everything in life is not really what is happening, but it's how you are looking at that thing that is happening. So two people can be having the same situation. One person is going to be miserable and the other person is going to be content. Same situation. The only difference is how this person is looking at that situation and how this person is looking at that situation, right? So he's saying, okay, yes, you lost your son, but if you had your son, you would be worried constantly about the well-being of your son. So now your son is gone. That son can be a means for you for Jannah. So don't grieve at the loss of worry and concern. Meaning, I hope you guys understand. It means like the only thing you really lost is you worrying about your child. Is he gonna be good? Is he gonna? So you don't grieve at that, because that's not something to grieve for. Now you don't have to worry. Your child is gonna be a source of mercy for you, inshallah, right? And don't waste the opportunity for Allah's blessing and mercy. Again, opportunity. Musa bin al-Mahdi said to Ibrahim bin Salama, consoling at the death of his son, he helped you as a captive while he was an affliction and concern, and made you grieve while he was a prayer and a mercy. So that's basically what we just said, you know. SubhanAllah. Okay. Another man said, consoling a friend of his, the one who is a reward for you in the hereafter is better than the one who was a cause of pleasure and enjoyment in this world. Ah, this is powerful, sisters. I don't know why it's talking to me. It is talking to me. SubhanAllah. Let me repeat this. The one who is a reward for you in the akhirah, right, is better than the one who was a cause of pleasure and enjoyment in dunya. You know, children are a cause of pleasure and enjoyment in dunya. Also a cause of worry. Yeah? You worry, but you're also enjoying them, right? You're enjoying seeing them grow, seeing them, you know, being adults, seeing them being in their own having their own personality. It's a cause of joy. It's a cause of pleasure, especially when they're babies. Like, to me, I know parents, you know, they don't sleep and all that, but when you hold a baby, it's like this ball of warmth. You know, it's a cause of joy and pleasure. But this is dunya. But the one that you lost, or the one, even the one that you didn't lose, let's say you never had children, but you made dua for it, because we know that if your dua is not answered in this world, it's going to be answered in the akhirah. So imagine it's reserved for you in the akhirah, right? And so this reward is better for you than the cause of pleasure in dunya. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. This is really a powerful statement. It says here, Abdullah bin Umar, after burying his son, laughed beside his grave. People asked, why are you laughing by the grave? He replied, in order to spite shaitan. Ibn Jurayj said, anyone who does not confront his affliction with patience and faith may as well go as long as dumb animals go. So all of this is really stories of people who are trying to have sabr and looking at the situation from a beautiful perspective, actually. Aman came to Hassan al-Basri and complained to him of the grief of the death of his son. Hassan asked whether his son occasionally used to go away from home. He replied that it had happened quite often. Hassan said, then think of him as he has gone away from home. Truly, each time he went away from you and you waited patiently, there was a great reward for you. The man replied, oh Hassan, you have eased the suffering which I felt on account of my son. So Hassan al-Basri, he consoled this person and he's going to get the reward. I don't know if I asked that reward, but the one who consoles someone, he's going to have what? He's going to be adorned with some robes, right? On Yawm al-Qiyamah, mashallah. So it says that when Shafi'i was old, his foot had to be amputated because of a gangrenous sore. Yet he did not miss his scheduled nightly worship that night, but merely said, we have experienced so much strain along our journey. Surah Al-Kahf. This is what Musa said in Surah Al-Kahf. And he said, oh Allah, if you have sent an affliction, you have also given help. Wow. And if you have taken away a limb, you have left other limbs and organs. And if you have taken a son, you have kept other sons alive. Oh, I'm loving this chapter, sisters. It's just so positive. It's so positive. Let me circle this one as well. So I'm going to repeat this again. Oh Allah, if you have sent an affliction, and if you have sent a trial, you have also given help. Meaning this person at one point, they were healthy. Today they're sick, but there was a time where they were healthy. So you're recognizing the whole situation. You're not just looking at, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick, ya Allah, I'm sick. No, but you're looking at, okay, there was some time I was healthy. Today I'm sick, but there was some time I was healthy, right? If you have taken away a limb, Allah did not take everything. He left other limbs and organs. So that's what Ash-Shafi'i said. If you have taken away a limb, you have left other limbs and organs. And if you have taken a son, you have kept other sons alive. SubhanAllah. Because Allah does not take everything and He doesn't give everything. Not in this dunya, right? Not in this dunya. So when we lose something, we are tried by something, then we should also look at what Allah has also given us, subhanAllah. It says a blind man from the tribe of Abs came to visit Al-Walid the Khalif. Walid asked him about the cause of his blindness. The man said, I was the richest man of my tribe. One night, while we were asleep in a house in the valley, it rained heavily and the valley flooded. The flood took away my home, my family, and all my property except for a camel and a child. The camel was excited and ran away. I heard the voice of my son and went toward him, but by the time I reached him, the camel had trampled him to death. I wanted to get hold of the camel, but it gave me a kick on the face and put out my sight, subhanAllah. So in no time, I lost my family, my property, my child, my camel, and my eyes. Walid was extremely astonished and exclaimed, take him to Imam Shafi so that he knows that there is someone who is more afflicted than he is. Oh, subhanAllah. So remember how Imam Shafi, these believers, they were something else, subhanAllah. Imagine you're surrounded by people like that in your life. You're surrounded by believers that have such strong iman, such strong, sabr. It's just amazing. So we saw what Imam Shafi said when he lost his leg and he lost his son. He said, well, you've given me health and then now I'm sick and you've taken a limb, you didn't take everything and you took a son, but I have other sons. So the Khalifa at the time, when he met this man who told him his story that he lost his family, his property, his child, his camel, and his eyes in like little time. So he was so astonished, he immediately thought of who? He thought of Imam Shafi. And so he said, take this man to Imam Shafi so that Imam Shafi knows that there is someone who is more afflicted than he is. And that is our situation, right? We're always going to have someone more afflicted than us and someone, that will have more than us. So someone that has less than us and someone that has more than us as far as blessings. And same thing as far as trials. It's reported that when Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu was stabbed and his blood was flowing from his face onto his beard, he said, "There is no deity except you. Glory be to you. Surely I am a wrongdoer. O Allah, I seek your help against the murderers, and I seek your help in all my affairs, and ask you to give me sabr to bear what has befallen me." SubhanAllah. So this is another story. Madani, I don't know, said, "I met a woman in the desert with the most radiant and beautiful face. I said to her, 'By Allah, it is good and happy life that makes you so.' So she said, 'By Allah, it is the contrary. I have seen sorrows and affliction. Let me tell you my story. I had a husband with 2 sons from him. On the day of Eid al-Adha, my husband slaughtered a lamb while the children were playing about. The older son said to the younger, 'Do you want to see how our father slaughtered the lamb?' The younger one said, 'Yes.' SubhanAllah. Then the older boy slaughtered his brother with the knife. But when he saw the blood, he ran away to the side of a mountain, crying and wailing, and a wolf devoured him. SubhanAllah. The father went in search of the boy, and he was lost in the desert and died of thirst. Consequently, I was left alone in this world." The Madani asked her then about her patience, to which she replied that she and patience were comrades, they were friends for a long time. But now, however, time has healed the wounds. And this reminds me of Mama Amina, right? Like Mama Amina, mashallah, she's been through so much, but when you would go to see her, many times she would be like smiling and welcoming you and stuff like that. And still, when she tells you about her life, it's like amazing, subhanAllah. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu reported that he had heard the Prophet ﷺ say, "If any member of my ummah has 2 children who went ahead of him to the second world, Allah will admit him to the garden on their account." His wife Aisha asked him, "What if it is only 1 child?" He said, "Even if it is 1, do good and inquire." Aisha then asked, "What about the one who has no children who died before him?" He said, "I am the one who dies before my people, and they will never suffer any loss comparable to the loss of me." MashaAllah, Tirmidhi. Hadith is in Tirmidhi. Okay, we're gonna skip around. Let's go to the story of Malik bin Dinar. Beautiful story. Malik bin Dinar. Oh, no. Let's read the hadith before that. Abu Huraira said that Abu Hassan, whose son had died, and he was grieved, asked him if he had heard anything from the Prophet ﷺ which might comfort the Muslims regarding their dead. Abu Huraira replied that he had, for he had heard him say, "The young ones roam freely in the garden. One of them meets his father or his parents, seizes him by his garment or by his hand, and does not leave him until he brings him into Jannah." And that is in Muslim. Okay, so now let's look at the story of Malik bin Dinar. Malik bin Dinar told the following story about himself. He said, "I was a man given to fun and enjoyment, and I was addicted to wine. I bought myself a slave girl, and I was very happy with her. She gave birth to a beautiful girl whom I loved dearly. I saw her creep, then crawl, and then walk. Now, whenever I sat down for a drink, she would come and take the cup from my hands and throw the wine on the ground. When she was 2 years old, she died, and she left me grieving. It was the night of the 15th of Sha'ban, and I fell asleep and drunk. I saw in my dream that it was the day of resurrection, and I came out of my grave. But a huge sea serpent was after me, trying to swallow me. I started to run, but it was at my heel, and the faster I ran, the faster it came. I passed by an old man dressed in clean garments, but very weak. I called out to him, 'Oh Sheikh, please save me from this monster which wants to swallow me.' He said, "Oh, my son, I am very old. I'm a very old man, and this monster is very powerful. I cannot overcome it. Go further. Perhaps someone else can help you." I ran away with the serpent following me. I passed by pits of blazing fire, and I was about to fall into them, but someone said, "You are not the inhabitant." Then I turned about and ran toward a mountain, and the serpent still after me. When I reached the mountain, I found that there were many gates to it, and each gate had guards. Then someone said, "Let this wretched man in before his enemy catches up with him." The gates were open, and I saw children whose faces were shining like stars, and among them was my little girl. She came down to me like a beam of light, and with her right hand hit the serpent, which then fled away from me. Then my little girl sat down by me and said, "Oh, my father." And then she quoted Surah Hadid, Ayah 16. Is it not high time for the hearts of those who believe to submit to God's reminder and any truth that has been sent down? I said, "Oh, my child, do you know the Qur'an?" She replied, "I learned it from you." I then asked, "Oh, my daughter, what do you do here?" She said, "We are Muslim children who have died, and we live here until the day of resurrection and wait for our parents." I said to her, "What was the monster which was chasing me and wanted to kill me?" She said, "Oh, my father, that was your bad deeds, which you fortified, and they would kill you." Then I asked, "And who was that weak old man whom I saw?" She answered, "That was your good deeds, which you weakened, and they have no power to defend you against your bad deeds. Therefore, O my father, do repent, make tawbah, turn toward Allah, and do not be among those who perish." The dream ended, and I woke up. From that moment on, I repented of my sins, and I turned to Allah. Subhanallah. Thus we see that when young children, male or female, die and their parents show patience and control of their emotions, they become a means of salvation for them in the hereafter. Allah Most High has instructed us when He tests us with affliction to say, "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un." So this is where we'll stop, sisters. Do we have any questions? We're still in chapter 49. And we have a lot of pages left. I think we have 3 or 4 pages left, inshallah. Do you have any questions? No questions, no comments? Okay. Beautiful, 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 beautiful passage, mashallah. Teaching us to have sabr, basically. Teaching us to have sabr and to look at life in a way that's different than, what we are seeing. To not look at life from a complaining angle, but to look at life from a positive angle, because for the believer, everything is good. And whatever is happening to you, somebody is having it worse than you. Always. There's somebody who's having it worse than you, worse than me, right? So may Allah help us to have that sabr. May Allah help us to be among the sabirin, to be among those who, when they are tried, they say, "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un." To be among those who will receive all the rewards and the gifts of passing our trials, because a trial, there's nothing we can do about it, but the opportunity for reward is something we can do about it. May Allah make us among those who will get that reward. Bi-idhnillah, Allahumma ameen. The questions are going to be following probably inshallah today. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, sisters.